We all want to make new decks in Clash Royale to keep the game interesting and mix things up. So in this video, I've got 5 steps on how to make a brand new deck in Clash Royale that will actually work and give you some wins.
You have interfered with our affairs for the last time.
Tonight.
I am literally in the air right now, wrapping up a store. This first class, I am so new at this.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Mars back with another Clash Royale video, and just like I said, I'm teaching you how to build a brand new deck that actually works in Clash Royale. I've got an easy 5-step process in this video, so let's just get right into the list. Step 1 is to pick your favorite archetype of deck. Now, by archetype, I mean that there's decks like Fireball Bait right over here, there's Log Bait decks like this, then you've got Lava Hound decks like this, and then like Golem, Balloon, and so on and so on. So my favorite general archetype is Spell Bait, which includes Fireball Bait decks like this, or Log Bait decks like this, or this. So for my example in this video, I'm going to choose Spell Bait as my archetype. Step number 2 is to pick your win condition within that archetype. So in that picture, I just had a few win conditions that would be included under Spell Bait, but over here I have a bunch of example win conditions in this deck. I'm going to go ahead and remove the ones that aren't really Spell Bait. So the RG isn't really Spell Bait, neither is the E-Giant, and I wouldn't say the Balloon is either. The Expo is sort of Spell Bait, but even if it was counted as that, I'm not going to use it for this video. So out of these win conditions, I want to try to pick one, and they all count under Spell Bait. I use the Goblin Barrel and Royal Hogs a lot, so I'm not going to use them in this video. And then I don't really like the Graveyard in the current meta, so the win condition I'm going with for this example is the Skeleton Barrel. Step number 3 is to choose some good supporting cards that go with your win condition and your archetype. So I showed some examples of good support cards in that picture right there, and we're just going to scroll through the cards here. I really like the Dart Goblin. I recommend choosing cards that you like and also fit the description. So the Dart Goblin can help bait out a log or arrows for the Skeleton Barrel to succeed, so we'll go with that. Then something else that kind of fits this description is the Spear Gobs, because they can also bait out a zap, snowball, or log, anything to help that Skeleton Barrel get more damage. Then I'm also going to go with the Goblin Hut here, just because it helps mix things up. It can also bait out arrows or a poison or something else like that. People also like to log it once the 3 Spear Goblins come out, once the hut goes away. So those are some nice supporting cards to keep going with. Step number 4 is to start to address some of the weaknesses in the deck. Now, I showed some strong cards in that picture right there. I think I showed the Valk, the E-Barbs, and the Recruits, because this deck right now, it lacks a tank. We need a tank like the Knight or the Valkyrie or the Prince or something like that. And for this deck, I'm actually going to go with the Prince here. I think the Prince goes pretty well with this deck actually, because sometimes people have to log it or zap it to stop its charge, or they'll use like an Electro Spirit or an Ice Spirit to stop the charge, and that would help the Skeleton Barrel get more damage if they didn't have those cards in cycle. The Prince also helps address this deck's weaknesses because he does a lot of damage to a single target, and before him, there wasn't really a ton of quick damage that I could do with this deck. Another weakness of this deck that I'm noticing is that my only air card is the Skeleton Barrel, and I want to have something else in the air that can present some sort of danger to the opponent if they don't have that much air defense. One of my favorite cards in the game is the Flying Machine, and I'm gonna go with that one for this deck because I think it goes pretty well with the Dart Goblin and the Goblin Hut, because sometimes they'll fireball a Goblin Hut or even fireball a Dart Goblin, and then they won't have that for the Flying Machine. It works the same way the other way around. If they fireball my Flying Machine, then I know that they won't have it for the Goblin Hut, so I can set up a Goblin Hut. So far this deck is looking pretty good. I have a tank, I have multiple air cards, I have a bunch of stuff that can do damage to the air, I have a building if I need to pull a win condition, and I have the Prince to do a lot of damage quickly to one target. So now we're ready for step 5, which is to choose the spells for the deck. Now, I left 2 spaces open because I like to pretty much always have 2 spells, but you can get away with only having 1 spell, and you can also have like 3 spells if you want to. But the spells should also address the weaknesses of the deck, and if we think about another weakness of this deck right now, it's that even though I have cards that do damage to the air, I don't really have air splash damage. So if they had like a minion horde coming in and I didn't have my Dart Goblin or my Flying Machine in cycle, I could be in big trouble. So I think I want the spells in this deck to be able to address the air and do splash damage. A really good spell for this is going to be the Poison, because it does a lot of damage to a big area and it hits ground and air. I think the poison goes well with this deck. And then looking at the cycle, it's 3.7, and I want it to be a little bit faster than that. So I'm gonna choose something small like a snowball, log, or zap as my other spell. I'm gonna actually go with the snowball here because I feel like if they had a hog or a balloon or royal hogs or something, this deck would struggle against that unless I have the snowball to bounce back hog riders and bounce back balloons to help play defense. So there we go. That is a nice new unique deck that I've never seen before in Clash Royale. You guys have probably never seen this either. I'm gonna rearrange it real quick so that it's ordered by elixir, and then let's hop into a battle and see how it works. There we go. That looks better. All right, we're trying this deck out in a battle. Let's just drop our skeleton barrel here right off the bat, cycle as many of those as we can. He's gonna have a tombstone to block it, so we're gonna have to get around that tombstone. I'm gonna set up a goblin hut here, and it looks like he's using a skeleton barrel as well. I could have maybe poisoned that, but yeah, that would have been a little bit of an overcommitment. Let's go flying machine here to take out this skeleton barrel, and it looks like he's using like a bait deck with that skeleton king. So good thing we have our poison, guys, because I think he might end up having a graveyard. We also have a dark goblin, which is really good against the graveyard. And let's go ahead and use a prince here with some spear gobs. I might have to snowball those bats, but actually we can wait here, I think. I'm gonna go skeleton barrel here with the prince though, because he's gonna stay alive with some health. And yes, guys, the prince is able to charge in there. Skeleton barrel drops on the tombstone. Yeah, we have a couple spear gobs here that are going to get some damage. Let's just set up another goblin hut because it'll block if he goes in for a skeleton barrel. And yeah, guys, we're ending up with a skeleton barrel versus skeleton barrel matchup here. Again, I think he still might have a graveyard, even though he has skeleton barrel with the skeleton king. It seems to me like those cards just go well together pretty well. So I'm going to save the dark goblin just in case he ends up having a graveyard, because that's a really good counter. We also have a poison, so this matchup ended up to be pretty good, and I think it's mostly because we made a really well-rounded deck. Snowball here is going to keep our flying machine alive for a second, and then we can go with a prince in the very back here. He's charging up that skeleton king with a lot of skeletons, but we have a prince coming in. See if he uses the ability here. And yeah, he does use the ability to stop the prince from hitting that. But guys, I think if we just go with some spear gobs here, we're going to be able to clean up these skeletons and then go in with another skeleton barrel here. And maybe even cycle another goblin hut, guys. I'm really liking how this deck is ending up to be. It seems like it's pretty annoying to play against, but guys, that's how you know a deck is good in Clash Royale, honestly. Getting into double elixir here might be time to start cycling some poisons on his tower. We're going to wait for his skeleton barrel to get there and then just use a snowball to counter it. We're going to go in for our own skeleton barrel. Yeah, guys, I think this is going to be a good poison here. We can poison away the tombstone, hit his bats too, and he went with the ability into that poison. So that, guys, that's going to work out great for us. His tower is going to be almost gone. Goblin hut here is going to pull his skeleton barrel. Flying machine locks on and takes out the tower. And guys, this deck is working out great first time around. Yeah, we're just going to go all in here at the bridge. I think he might have given up, so I think we can get 2 towers here real quick. Oh, he actually goes Valk, never mind. But yeah, you guys saw, we just built this deck right now on the spot in this video, and it worked out great there. But anyways, guys, that's it for the video. I hope these tips help you out when you're looking for how to make a new deck in Clash Royale. It's important to know how to make new decks to keep the game fun and interesting and use the cards that you enjoy using. But guys, if you made it this far in the video, make sure to click like and subscribe right now. Doing those little things takes like 1 or 2 seconds, but benefits my channel tremendously, and I really appreciate it. Also, if you're a fan of the channel, I am on vacation right now, so I won't be doing a live stream tonight, but I will be back to that next week. Thanks so much for watching today's how to make a deck in Clash Royale video, and I'll see you guys in a couple days with another Clash Royale video.